Yeah! Come on, baby! Come on!
Woo! Alright, so I finally got my hands on Resident Evil 7. And yeah, this game was easily my most anticipated game of 2017, and it's only January. So, yeah, what do I think of it? Well, let's find out. Now let's start things off. I was thoroughly surprised at what Capcom was able to do here. This game is pretty much the product of someone saying, let's take the Resident Evil remake, elements of Resident Evil 4, a dash of Revelations, a pinch of Nemesis, and some huge influences from the original Resident Evil prototype game, the Famicom classic, Sweet Home. Let it simmer for about 3 years, and what you get is an exceptional game. Now take all of that and put it in VR. What you're left with is one of the most immersive and truly terrifying experiences in video game history. From the body horror to the eerie atmosphere, you're always on edge in this game. From every corner you turn, the world built around you is a twisted madhouse inspired by the likes of the past RE games to some Evil Dead and even some Texas Chainsaw Massacre thrown in the mix. The graphics are fantastic, whether it be on a 2D display or in VR. Everything is well crafted, and it truly feels like a place that is in need of serious renovations and a good exorcism. Follow suit, the sound design is also amazingly composed as well. From the ambient noises that caused me to constantly check over my shoulder to make sure that nothing was following me, to the fantastic music that fits the mood perfectly. Whether you're currently running for your life or taking a breather in a safe room, which by the way is now one of my favorite save themes in the franchise, it all fits naturally. But while the property is desolate and scary, what truly shines here is the monsters. Now in total I think I only counted about 5 different types of monsters, and there's like about 3 variations of the molded, some bugs, and of course the family. Now in hindsight, that does seem like a very low number, but it's the quality that counts here. Each of them are terrifying. The bugs are annoying, but a viable threat that must be eradicated immediately. The molded, whichever form you face, move in a very unnatural way. Just seeing them sends chills down your spine, and once they begin their attack, they will send you running in the opposite direction. And of course, the family. Now, as seen in trailers, the family is a force to be reckoned with. Think of each of them as a tyrant or nemesis. Unless you have some ultimate weapon at your disposal, your best option is to run and hide. Otherwise, they will pursue you until you are dead. Now let's talk about the gameplay. A lot of people prior to release expressed concerns that it didn't seem like a real Resident Evil game. Well, I'm glad to say that is not the case here. Item management, movement, combat, and puzzle solving, everything here is a remnant of how the gameplay was perfected in Resident Evil 1 through 4. Item management is back in full force. You better make sure you only carry the essentials. Movement is fantastic, simplistic yes, but additions like the quick turn help you keep you on your toes. Combat is fast-paced and smooth. The arsenal of weapons you get is pretty much the same lot from the original Resident Evil. Each gun feels natural and are very well balanced. Puzzle solving is back, but it is noticeably easier this time around. Only one puzzle really had me stumped for about 5 minutes. Regardless though, all in all the whole experience felt like a true sequel to the games that made Resident Evil a household name in the first place, but now in first person. Which in turn feels like a match made in heaven in virtual reality. Now, this is not one of the very first, horror games in VR, but I'll be damned if this is not one of the finest examples of it. Whether you're hiding from one of the bakers and you lean out of a corner to see if the coast is clear, or you're fighting for your life, exhausting every resource you have, the game feels natural and intense, which brings me to the overall VR implementation. Now, the issues here are as follows. Some of the textures can look a bit muddled out of the corner of your eye, and there is an issue with aliasing. But the attention to detail quickly makes you forget about the minor graphic issues. Yes, they are present, but in all honesty, once you immerse yourself, you will look past the mistakes and truly feel like you've been transported into a nightmare. Now, there is another issue I want to point out. Now, I was able to play this whole game while wearing this. I live streamed the whole thing, and I just take like one break. But other than that, I was able to play the whole game with this headset on. And I did experience some, minor discomfort and, some motion sickness every now and then. Very minimal in my case. So yes, it is very possible to play this whole game with the VR headset, but your experience may vary. As I said before, I did experience disorientation that will easily make others lose their balance. So I cannot stress enough, if you're trying to play this in virtual reality, mess with the in-game VR settings. It offers a lot of options to help you make you as comfortable as possible. With that said, sadly not everyone will be able to experience this in VR. Even at the perfect settings, some dizziness is still going to happen. Again, minimal for me, but I can't speak for everyone. Alright, now finally, let's wrap this up by talking about the story. Now don't worry, I'm not going to spoil a thing, so do not worry. But yeah, from a distance, this game did seem a lot like a Silent Hill game. Now, it's weird because, Yes, I don't really agree with it, but at the same time, I can easily see the base of the argument. I mean, the game is essentially your character who's pretty much going headlong into a world full of monsters and pretty much horror just to find a loved one. And, well, as you play the game, it quickly shows you that that's not the case. What starts off as a rescue mission quickly turns into a fight for survival. Unlike the past entries, you play as an average Joe. Ethan Winters is a no-nonsense guy in mourning. He can't accept the fact that his wife died 3 years ago, and when a mysterious message of her resurfaces, he heads straight for the source to find her. What proceeds is, well, you know. The dialogue is well written, and the characters are relatable. Story progression is well paced, except until the end where it does drag a bit. The story is essentially a single isolated incident, so non-fans can jump right in without necessarily playing the games that came prior. Seriously, fuck this game. Although that does not mean that longtime fans won't get a kick out of it too. There are many old references that tie in the plot with the main series. Overall, the story takes the player back to its survival horror roots. With many great twists and turns along the way, it is a worthy game for the title of Resident Evil. And once the story wraps up, it also shows you that it deserves that number 7 as well, unlike other titles. Seriously, Alright, and now my final thoughts. This game is a breath of fresh air from an old town you loved visiting as a child. It's a true return to form of the series. It doesn't rely on cheap jump scares. I mean, those are present, but the focus is more on the atmosphere and feeling of uncertainty of when you'll have to fight for your life again. The execution of the story is done well, the gameplay is tense and at the same time exhilarating. It's perfect for people who just want to play through the story, as well as rewards those who explore with extra supplies and secrets. With the game length coming at around 9 to 12 hours for most players, this is going to be a ride they soon won't forget. And for veterans like me who was able to complete the game in under 7 hours the first time. The game is rife with bonus unlockable content that entices you to replay again and again, perfect for first-timers and fans alike. This game is a must-have for all fans of horror games, and for those of you who have a virtual reality headset, this is a must-own VR game. Well, that's the video, and yeah, this is just a fantastic game, and before you start saying, oh, I'm just a huge Resident Evil fan, of course I'm gonna like it. No. As I've been saying, it makes me more judgmental. I mean, Resident Evil 6 was bad. Resident Evil 5 was a good game, but it just wasn't a good Resident Evil game. And of course, 4 was the last, true great experience. But regardless, it's just a great game no matter what. And if you're like me, who's a huge fan, you're gonna buy it, day one, and you're a huge fan also, PSVR. This game is just a must-buy. Whether it be, your love of RE or VR, this is a must-buy game. And it doesn't really matter whether you, buy it now or you pay for it later, because you want to, get a better deal. It's still worth the price. It doesn't matter what you pay, it is worth it. It's just a fantastic experience. It is fun, it is terrifying, and it's just so gratifying. But, yeah. All in all, I think that's it. I will say this. Right now, this is the PSVR killer app at this time of the video, at the time of this video. So, yeah. Is it the best experience on PSVR? It's still kind of up in the air for me because I really enjoy the Battlefront X-Wing mission. But this is hands down the best VR game I've ever played, bar none, period. At least currently. But, yeah. That's pretty much it. Might be the best experience. Whatever. But yeah, that's the video. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys later.